All right. Good evening, John again. You know the drill. I'm playing Immaculate Grid. I'm going for low rarity score. Had an all right game yesterday. I did get 9 out of 9. I did make at least a couple errors though, so I just wanted to make sure I issued a couple corrections. Thanks to people in the comments for grabbing those. Number one, I repeatedly said that Doug Drabeck was the most recent Pirate to win 20 games. Turns out that's not correct. Drabeck did win 20 in 1990. The very next season, John Smiley also won 20. Drabeck won the Cy Young Award. Smiley was a distant third with Tom Glavine winning that year. So I assume Drabeck probably did a little bit better, but still, just want to make sure the record was set straight there. And then I repeatedly referred to a movie called Nine Men Out. I meant Eight Men Out. That was the name of the movie about the 1990 Black Sox. I was also very convinced. It's been a while since I watched the movie, but I was convinced that David Schwimmer, who plays Ross on Friends, was Eddie Seacott in the movie. I just watched a clip on YouTube. Thanks to the person who commented on it, but that's not David Schwimmer or slash Ross from Friends, as I kept referring to him as. It's a different guy altogether. Also named it David Shateman, I think. So I had that wrong. So that being said, I do want to share real quick and just take a quick look at yesterday's grid because this was a this is the score as I don't know how it ended up, but this was the score as of when I played it like around 6 or 7 o'clock last night. And you can see it's a much more uniform distribution than is typical. Usually it skews farther upward. So yesterday was a very tough grid, and I think that meant that you were self-selecting for some of these. So, for example, on mine, I only got 7% of people said Eddie Seacott, but and 5% said Bob Friend, but those percentages themselves were pretty low, with only less than half people getting the White Sox 20 game winner, even less than that getting the Pirates 20 game winner. So it's kind of a self-selecting group there. I think these are some of the lowest percentages I've ever seen. So if you got 9 out of 9, kudos to you. And if you didn't, don't feel bad because a lot of people didn't. So I'm gonna hit the old refresh button and see if I can beat my score from yesterday. So let's see here. We got All Stars and MVPs. Um, Twins, Braves. Twins are, of course, also the Washington Senators if we go pre 1960. And then we've got the Phillies. That'll be an interesting one. Phillies and Twins. And then we've got the Mariners. Um, so few options to play around with here. I think to start, here's a good one. See how many people get this. Ken Griffey, senior, for played with both the Mariners and the Braves. I have an 88 tops card of him with the Braves. Oh, that was really popular. Okay. I thought that would be less popular. I thought his career with the Braves was a lot less prominent than that. King Felix signed with the Braves, but didn't ever end up playing a regular season game. Okay. Well, a little bit of egg on my face. I'm gonna grab Paul Sorrento here. I just remember I have a rookie card of him with the Twins, and he hit 30 home runs with the 97 AL Western Division champion Mariners. Not anything too crazy. He was with the Devil Rays the very next season, and then out of baseball shortly thereafter. But played for both teams, so let's get him 1%. He gets an action shot. So it's kind of interesting how some of the baseball reference photos, like some of them get action shots. Palmeiro has a pretty good action shot. Derek Lee has kind of like an artsy pose. Um, but most of the time it's just a headshot. So it's interesting. I'd be curious to see how they come up with with those. But on to MVPs here. For the Twins, your MVPs include Joe Mauer in 2009, Rod Carew in 1977, Oswaldo Versalles in but I can use Senators too. So I think of the Twins, I hit them all. Versalles in 65. That was the year the Twins went to the World Series, lost to the Dodgers. Carew and then Mauer. I think that's all of them. Puckett got second, I think, in 1992. and had I think a top three finish in 1988. Year he had over 350, but never won. Oh, and Morneau won. I forgot about Morneau, which the writers should have too, because it really should have gone to someone else. But Justin Morneau won the 2006 AL MVP. Um, I'm going to go with a senator, and I think we've confirmed that pre-BBWAA MVPs will work. So I'm going to go with Walter Johnson because he won an MVP in the 20s. I wonder if that's less prominent than Rosales. Actually, no, I'm going to go. That'll be interesting. I think actually, I was just thinking about it's Walter Johnson, like, and I don't think people are that fooled by Walter Johnson being or the Twins having previously been the Senators. I wonder if any other. Hmm, not sure. Let's select Zuelo. That's how you say his names. Yeah, he does. He gets 5%. I'd be interested to see how Walter Johnson does there. He definitely works. Let's see. Phillies and Braves. Kevin Millwood will work. Dale Murphy will work. Um, I'm not going to go with Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy had a surprisingly high score for the Phillies and Rockies when we played on Jamie Moyer Day, I think last week. So I don't think I'm going to take him for Phillies and Braves because he'll just do a lot higher even than that. Millwood would I think be a better pick, but I'll see if I can think of anyway. Johnny Estrada would also work. Johnny Estrada would be an interesting one. I think Estrada would be a better pick than Millwood because he was, even though it was a little bit after Millwood. I mean, it was like a few years after he played for both teams. So I'm going to go with Estrada. Also, former Diamondback and a former Brewer. He takes under 1%. All right. And then let's see, Braves MVPs. Um, what's it? Braves had the MVP in 1948, and I'm blanking on their name. So maybe I don't go with the Boston Brave that won in 1948. That year they won the pennant but lost to Cleveland in the World Series. Eddie Matthews will work. Henry Aaron will work. Uh, Dale Murphy will work. Chipper Jones will work. Freddie Freeman will work. Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to work in a few months here. I think I've worn Spawn. I've won MVP. He won Cy Young in 1957. Um, Joe Torre won the MVP, but not with Atlanta. He won with the Cardinals. Terry Pendleton would work. So the question is, do I go with the more recent pick of Terry Pendleton in 1991, or do I go with Eddie Matthews, who won in 1953, I think, but was, um, a much more prominent ball player? I'll go with Matthews. There's just something about the Braves being on TBS on Superstation at that time that I think a lot of people will probably be able to get that one. Eddie Matthews, select. He didn't? Really? Huh. All right, John is humbled. I thought Eddie Matthews won the 53 MVP. I was very confident of it, in fact. He had over 40 home runs. Man, maybe that was, who I bet he got like second to Roy Campanella. Campanella won 3 MVPs during that time. I bet that's what happened. And I think I just fused it. All right. Um, let's see. I'll just fill out Terry Pendleton. Fascinating. 7%. All right. Um, let's see. And then I do want to see if I can get a player with the Phillies and the Twins. Um, Man, that's kind of a tough one. I'm not thinking of anyone off the top of my head. Let's see. Probably grab Richie Ashburn. I'm sure he was an all-star. Be pretty funny if he wasn't. 1%. Let's see. Any all-star from Seattle would be a good one. You could go with Alvin Davis in the 80s. Mark Langston probably as well in the 80s. Um, Joey Cora made an all-star team. I'm just remembering a line from the Athlon Sports I had going in the 98 season that he joined his teammate Alex Rodriguez on the all-star team. I just remember that because I didn't think of Cora as like a stud or anything, but he did make an all-star team. Maybe that'll work. 0.2%. All right, so I at least got a couple decent numbers out of this. Um, All-star and MVP is just, I mean, you could go with pretty much anyone. So, Twins and Phillies though. I'm gonna play with this one a little bit. You can watch my thought process. I mean, I've already blown it, but I want to see if I can come up with someone. Let's see. Jim Tomey will work. I think that'll be a pretty high scoring one. Um, who else would be good? Um, Working my way around the horn of those Twins teams from those days. I don't think Gaetti ever made it to out to Philadelphia. He played with a number of teams, but I don't think the Phillies were ever one of them. Um, you got Ballard or DH. That's not going to work. Winfield never played for the Phillies. Kirby Puckett obviously plays whole career with Minnesota. Crew, Oliva. Trying to think. I mean, these are both old teams, so there might be someone who played with like the Senators and the Phillies at some point. But again, they didn't usually cross leagues that much. Um, Jim Tomey's just going to be so high. I think Jim Tomey's actually going to be the highest one there. Unless it's someone much more recent that I'm just not thinking of. Let's see, Phillies from those days. You had what, Mickey Morandini, uh, Rico Bronia, Bobby Abreu, never a twin. Kurt Schilling, never a twin. Mike Lieberthal, never a twin. Scott Rowland, never a twin. Desi Relaford was a Blue Jay, but I don't think he was, or excuse me, not Blue. It was a Mariner, was a Philly, definitely not a twin, or at least I'm not remembering him with the Twins. But Ron Coomer, that's a name. Corey Koski, Marty Cordova, Matt Lawton, Torrey Hunter. Naming all sorts of twins. I don't think any of them ever played for Philadelphia. Conversely, I'm kind of thinking of some of the Phillies throughout the years. Bob Boone, I don't think he ever played for the Twins. Tony Perez, Joe Morgan, and Pete Rose all played for the 83 Phillies. I don't think any of them would work. Larry Boa was never a Twin, as far as I know. Yeah, that one's an interesting mental block. I think Tommy will work. As far as an all-star who was MVP, I mean, I don't know, pick anyone. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I'm thinking this, and I think Tommy would work. Down here, I mean, I'd probably throw Jimmy Fox in there just because he was an early MVP slash all-star. Um, going in like or any number of people are going to work. Like DiMaggio was an early one as well. Gehringer might be an interesting pick. I'm sure he would work. Um, yeah, keeping it early is good. But I'm pretty sure yeah, I messed up on Eddie Matthews. I was very sure for some reason that he won the MVP. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, but he didn't win MVP. Um, I guess it was Campanella. Anyway, how about Charlie Garinger. I'm pretty sure he does. He works for both categories. So Garinger would have been pretty good then. Oh yeah, Garinger was that was a good pick. So I'm glad I hung out to at least get that. Jim Tomey was the highest pick here for Twins and Phillies. This one obviously is just you have pretty much anyone, so you have a huge number of people. Um, Atlanta and MVP takes 94%, and I'm one of the lone 6%. So humbled again, humbled again. Um, and let me look at some of these Twins Phillies. Man, I was not gonna remember or ever know any of these people. Ed Delahanty, okay. I could see him ending up with the Senators there. I think I briefly talked about him in my book. Jim Cap played for both teams. Just looking, just looking. Terry Mulholland, Nick Punto. I guess I could have gotten that one. Nick Punto seems like a guy who would be a utility player on both teams, doesn't he? Uh, so yeah, I mean, I will say this: if I hadn't messed up on Matthews, and I'm just gonna check him out real quick. But if I hadn't messed up on Matthews, probably would have just, I probably would have either gotten it wrong because I guessed someone other than Nick Punto, or I would have just thrown Tommy in there and taken the L. Yep, second in the MVP voting. I want to say that's a Campanella year. It is a Campanella year. Campanella earned that one. Pretty much identical numbers, and Campanella's playing catcher. So I'll give that one to Campanella. I'll take the L. Fun as always, even when I get it wrong. So thanks. Keep the comments coming. Correct me when I get references wrong, as I did yesterday, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. Thanks so much.